This formula isn't in the curriculum. Principal Thompson's voice echoed through the classroom. His face was bright red. He waved the notebook angrily. There it was on the board, written in chalk on the yellowed surface. Strange symbols, sequences the children didn't understand. Mr. Harrison clasped his hands behind his back. Calm, as always. A man in his 60s, glasses, slightly hunched, a math teacher at the same rural Canadian school for years. I know, he said quietly, because this formula was classified in 1982. The classroom went silent. Children dropped their pencils. Principal Thompson froze, and the inspector reached for his phone. It all started 3 months ago. A small town in northern British Columbia. Population barely over 1,000. Pine Ridge. The nearest city was 200 kilometers away. It had one school, elementary and middle school combined. Total of 87 students. Mr. Harrison had worked at this school for 40 years. Nobody knew much about him. He never married, had no family, lived alone in a small wooden house on the edge of town. Every morning he arrived at the same time, hung up the same worn flannel jacket, pulled out his notebook from the same old bag. The children loved him. His teaching was warm, but his questions were always a bit strange. Mr. Harrison, these are too hard, Emily had said one day. 13 years old, the pastor's daughter, the hardest worker in class. Not hard, Mr. Harrison had smiled, just requires thinking differently. The problems really were different. Not standard addition and subtraction, sequence patterns, encryption systems, logic puzzles. Parents started complaining. Why do rural kids need to learn this? It won't be on the exams. He's pushing the children unnecessarily. Principal Thompson agreed, but he said nothing to Mr. Harrison. The man was about to retire anyway. One more year, then we're free, he thought. It was April. An announcement came from the British Columbia Ministry of Education. National Mathematics Olympiad. A Canada-wide competition. Thousands of students participated. Preliminaries would be held in each province. Then, regional finals. Finally, the grand final in Ottawa. Principal Thompson posted the announcement but wasn't very hopeful. Our kids can't win, he said in the teacher's lounge. Vancouver and Toronto schools are much better. Mr. Harrison said nothing. But that day in class, he approached Emily. Would you like to participate? He asked. Emily was surprised. Me? You're ready. But the city kids? You're ready, Mr. Harrison repeated. There was a strange gleam in his eyes. Trust me. Emily participated. Regional preliminaries were held. Multiple choice questions, logic problems, geometry, probability. Emily came first. The principal couldn't believe it. Parents were shocked. The child herself was in shock. How did you do it? The principal asked. I used the methods Mr. Harrison taught, Emily said. Actually, they were all similar to the problems he's been asking. Thompson frowned. What methods? He calls it the code-breaking method. Breaking the question into parts, finding patterns. Provincial finals came. Emily won again. No one could call it coincidence anymore. A child from Pine Ridge had beaten all the Vancouver schools, and she was invited to Ottawa for the grand final. Principal Thompson called Mr. Harrison to his office this time. Harrison, he said, what are you teaching this child? Mr. Harrison shrugged. Mathematics. No, this isn't normal mathematics. There's something special. I looked at Emily's notebooks, strange formulas, things not in the curriculum. She's a smart child, Mr. Harrison said. I just went a bit further. How much further? Mr. Harrison turned his eyes to the window. In the yard, children were playing in the snow. As far as necessary, he said. Emily went to Ottawa. Mr. Harrison went with her, not as her guardian, but as her teacher. The final was held in the large hall at Carleton University. 48 finalists from all over Canada, the best children. Emily looked small among them, from Pine Ridge in her old boots, in washed but faded clothes. The final had 3 sections. The first section was classical problems. Emily did well, but was in the middle of the rankings. The second section was logic and pattern questions. Emily started climbing. The third section was cryptography and encryption-based questions. And Emily exploded. The questions seemed meaningless to most students, but for Emily, this was everything Mr. Harrison had been teaching for the last 2 years. When the final results were announced, Emily had come first, by a large margin. There was an awards ceremony. Emily went up to the podium. The hall gave a standing ovation. She leaned into the microphone. "Thank you," she said. "But this success isn't mine. It's Mr. Harrison's. He taught me real mathematics." A few people in the hall turned their heads. After the ceremony, someone from the organizing committee approached Mr. Harrison. "Mr. Harrison?" she asked. A woman in a suit, serious gaze. A official ID card in her bag. CSIS logo. Canadian Security Intelligence Service. "Yes," Mr. Harrison said. "Did you teach this child cryptography?" "I taught mathematics." The woman looked at him for a long time. "Which university did you attend?" "University of Toronto. Mathematics. 1978 graduate." "And then?" Mr. Harrison paused. "Then I became a teacher in Pine Ridge." The woman took notes. "Can we meet again tomorrow?" "Why?" "Because the last 3 questions this child solved were asked in CSE's talent screening exam 6 years ago, and only 2 people solved them." Mr. Harrison's face didn't change. "Could be coincidence." "Could it?" the woman said, and walked away. After returning from Ottawa, everything changed. A BC Ministry of Education inspector came to the school. 2 officials accompanied him. "We need Mr. Harrison's file." Principal Thompson was surprised. "Is there a problem?" "Routine inspection," the inspector said. But his expression suggested it wasn't routine at all. The file was pulled. James Harrison. Born 1963. University of Toronto Mathematics. 1985 graduate. But after that, it was empty. No records from 1985 to 1990. "What did you do during this time?" the inspector asked. "Military service," Mr. Harrison said. 5 years? Long term. "Where?" "Ottawa, Department of National Defence." The inspector raised an eyebrow. "Were you a math teacher at DND?" "No. Communications Security Establishment, Cryptography Unit." The room froze. "CSE?" Thompson repeated. Mr. Harrison nodded. 1985 to 1990, Military Communications Encryption Unit. Then I left. "Why?" "Personal reasons." "And then?" "I returned to Pine Ridge, became a teacher." "Why a rural school?" the inspector asked. "You're a U of T mathematics graduate. You worked at CSE. You could have worked anywhere." Mr. Harrison smiled, a tired smile. "Maybe that's why I chose Pine Ridge." The inspectors went to Mr. Harrison's house. They asked permission, but they didn't really need permission, because Mr. Harrison had invited them. The house was small, wooden walls, 1 room, 1 kitchen, old furniture, a few photos on the wall, one from Banff National Park. But there was a cabinet, locked. "May I open it?" the inspector asked. "Open it," Mr. Harrison said. The cabinet was opened. Inside were notebooks, hundreds of notebooks, filled with handwriting, formulas, diagrams, encryption systems, and a folder. The inspector opened the folder. Inside was an old document. Classified, Civilian Personnel Clearance. Communications Security Establishment. James Harrison, Cryptography Specialist. Security Clearance, Level 4. The inspector swallowed. "Is this still valid?" "I don't know," Mr. Harrison said. "It's been 35 years." The inspector made a phone call. A long conversation. Then he returned. "Mr. Harrison," he said, "your records are still active. It's true you resigned in 1990, but your file was never closed. And a team from Ottawa is coming here now." Mr. Harrison wasn't surprised. as if he'd been expecting it. When? Tomorrow. Okay. But I have to ask something, the inspector said. Why? Why are you teaching these children such advanced things? Mr. Harrison looked out the window. Outside, children were having a snowball fight. Emily was among them, telling her friends something. Because, Mr. Harrison said, intelligence isn't just in Toronto or Vancouver. These children have a right too. And maybe, if someone shows them, they'll learn how good they can be. The next day, Principal Thompson entered Mr. Harrison's classroom. He paused the lesson. Harrison, we need to talk. The classroom was emptied. Only the two of them remained. Someone from Ottawa is coming today, Thompson said. You know this, don't you? I know. Are they taking you back? I don't know. Thompson sat down. I want to apologize to you. Mr. Harrison was surprised. Why? Because I've underestimated you for years. Called you old-timer. Said strange questions. But you were doing something here, and I didn't see it. Mr. Harrison smiled. It doesn't matter. It matters, Thompson said. Emily didn't just win a competition. She went beyond her dreams. And that's because of you. At noon, a vehicle arrived from Ottawa, a black SUV. Two people got out, in suits, serious. They found Mr. Harrison in the principal's office. Mr. Harrison, one of the men said, I'm Colonel Mackenzie, Department of National Defense. Pleased to meet you. We reviewed your file. You resigned in 1990. Why? Mr. Harrison took a deep breath. Personal reasons. My family had an accident. I had to return to Pine Ridge. I understand, but what you're doing now, teaching children cryptography, requires permission. I'm just teaching mathematics. No, the colonel said.